All FoodSaver appliances provide equal and excellent protection for extending the freshness of your food. This how-to tape will demonstrate the use of several FoodSaver models, including the V825, V845, and V900. Some of these models have newly added features to enhance the ease of use and performance that we will show now. Additionally, at times throughout this video, text will appear on the screen to assist you. Your FoodSaver model may feature a removable drip tray, which fits right inside the vacuum channel, making cleanup easy. Two guides in the drip tray help position FoodSaver bags when vacuum packaging. Simply slip the opened end of the bag into the guides before closing the appliance lid and vacuum packaging. Small amounts of liquids may be inadvertently pulled into the vacuum channel during the vacuum packaging process. To remove for cleaning, simply lift out and wash in warm soapy water or on the top rack of the dishwasher. Check the drip tray after each use and empty any liquids that have collected. Finally, you can use your appliance without the drip tray in place, but using it will make vacuum packaging and cleanup even easier. Some FoodSaver models feature accessory hose storage. The accessory hose is used with FoodSaver vacuum packaging canisters and other accessories and will be demonstrated later in this video. After attaching the holders to the appliance, wind the accessory hose around the holders. Now you will always have your accessory hose handy. Your FoodSaver appliance features a seal control switch with 3 settings. The vacuum and seal position is the setting that you will use for vacuum packaging most food and non-food items. The vacuum and extended seal position is for vacuum packaging very moist foods like juicy steaks. The cut-only position is for cutting a piece of bag material from a FoodSaver roll, which will be explained later. In other models, the cut-only position may have a different name. Your FoodSaver model features an extended vacuum button, which is useful when sealing canisters and you want to remove extra air. Just push and hold the button as long as you want the pump to run. This will override the vacuum sensor and allow you to remove as much air as you want. Once you release the button, the sensor will activate and shut off the pump.
Hi, I'm Jan Muller from Tilia, the manufacturer of FoodSaver, the original home vacuum packaging system. Now, you've probably seen me demonstrating FoodSaver on TV. In this video, I'll be showing you how to operate your FoodSaver, and I'll be demonstrating how to vacuum package in FoodSaver bags as well as other vacuum storage containers. Now, you may not have all of the accessories that I'm going to show you, but I want you to be aware of all the food storage options available with your FoodSaver. And any of the accessories I'll be showing you can be ordered by visiting our website at www.foodsaver.com or by calling the toll-free number on your screen. Now, during this video, you'll see how the FoodSaver removes the air that's the major cause of food spoilage, so your foods will stay fresh and without freezer burn 3 to 5 times longer. And with the FoodSaver, you'll not only save your food, but you'll save time and money. And always remember that vacuum packaging is not a substitute for refrigeration or freezing. Perishable foods, or those that say refrigerate after opening, will still need to be refrigerated after they've been vacuum packaged. But they'll stay fresh tasting 3 to 5 times longer than if you hadn't vacuum packaged them. Now, let's take a look at some of the features of your new FoodSaver. Before we get started, I have a couple of important suggestions. First, I recommend that you read your FoodSaver user manual. You'll find that it has lots of practical information, and it's particularly important that you read the section about food preparation and storage so you'll know how to safely handle and store your foods. Your FoodSaver also comes with a handy quick start guide. Throughout this demonstration, I'll have the FoodSaver facing away from me. That makes it easier for you to see how it works. But when you use your FoodSaver at home, you'll want to have it facing towards you. First, I'm going to start by pointing out some of the important features of your FoodSaver. Underneath the lid, you'll find a handy roll storage compartment for your FoodSaver rolls. In front of the roll storage compartment is the vacuum channel. It's a trough surrounded by a rubber gasket. Whenever you want to remove the air from a FoodSaver bag, you need to put the open end of the bag down into this vacuum channel. This strip of Teflon that runs across the FoodSaver is the sealing strip. It heats up to seal the FoodSaver bags after the air has been removed. And there are also some handy graphics to remind you how to use your FoodSaver. Now I'll close the lid and show you the bag cutter. You should always keep the bag cutter positioned on either the far left or right side of the slider channel. Here on the lid is the sealing time switch. Most of the time, you'll leave the switch in the vacuum and seal position, the horizontal position. That's the position for normal vacuum packaging. You'll turn the switch to the vacuum and extended seal position when you're vacuuming very moist foods, like juicy meats, for example, and you want extra sealing time to seal through any excess moisture that might be in the bag. And you'll turn the switch to the seal-only position whenever you want to seal a bag without removing the air first. And this is the cancel button. If you ever want to stop your FoodSaver while it's in operation, just press this button to stop the motor. This is the sealing light that indicates when vacuum and sealing are in progress. And this is the accessory port. You won't use this port when you're vacuum packaging in FoodSaver bags, but you will use it when you're vacuum packaging other FoodSaver accessories. And finally, underneath the FoodSaver, you'll find a handy storage compartment for the electrical cord. Now, let's move on to using your FoodSaver. The most common accessories you'll use with your FoodSaver are the specially designed FoodSaver bags. These are not like any other bag on the market. These bags have patented air channels that remove the air quickly. Plus, the bags are 3-ply with a reinforced outer nylon layer to make sure that once air is removed, it stays out. FoodSaver bags come in 3 sizes: pint size, quart size, and gallon size. I'm going to use a quart-size bag and a block of cheese to demonstrate how to vacuum package in a FoodSaver bag. Now, it's important that the food fits into the bag with at least 3 inches to spare at the end, so that there's enough room to vacuum and seal the bag. Lift the lid of the FoodSaver and curve the open end of the bag down into the vacuum channel. If the bag tends to curve up, just turn it over so it curves down. It doesn't matter which side of the bag is up. The open end of the bag needs to be completely in the vacuum channel for the air to be removed. So make sure that the bag isn't crooked. Make sure the bag lies smoothly across the sealing strip without any wrinkles where the seal is going to be. Close the lid. Make sure the sealing time adjustment switch is turned to vacuum and seal. Then press down on the lid until you hear the motor start. Wait a few seconds and then release. The machine will automatically pump the air out of the bag and seal it. When the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the bag and the bag has been sealed. Open the lid and remove the vacuum-packed cheese. In addition to the ready-made FoodSaver bags, you can also make your own custom-sized bags using FoodSaver rolls. To make a bag, all you do is cut the roll material to the length you need and then seal one of the open ends. FoodSaver rolls come in 2 sizes, 8 inches wide and 11 inches wide. I'm going to make a bag to be able to vacuum pack this large block of cheese I bought from a Warehouse Club store. Here's what you do. Your FoodSaver VAC 900 has a very convenient roll storage compartment. So insert a roll into the compartment. Pull the roll out to the length that you'll need. Always measure your item that you're going to vacuum package and add about 3 inches so that you have room enough for the seal. So it's about 3 inches. Close the lid.
Hi, I'm back again. Okay, you've closed the lid like Jan said. Now move the seal control switch to the cut-only position. Slide the bag cutter from one end of the sliding channel to the other. Open the lid and tuck the roll back into the roll storage compartment. Align one end of the bag material across the sealing strip, making sure it is over the sealing strip completely like this, not like this or in the vacuum channel. With the bag material aligned correctly, close the lid. Move the seal control switch to vacuum and seal and press, holding down for several seconds. Then let go. Once the motor and light turn off, open the lid and you have a custom-sized bag with a secure seal on one end. Back to you, Jan.
Now you're ready to vacuum package the cheese. You'll do this exactly the same way as I showed you with the smaller block of cheese. Let me show you one more time how to do that. Before we start, make sure that you always roll any excess bag material back into the bag storage compartment. Put the cheese inside the bag. Now you're going to be vacuuming the air out of the bag, so curve the open end of the bag down into the vacuum channel. Now if the bag material curves up, remember it's okay. It doesn't make any difference which side of the bag material is facing up. So curve the opened end down into the vacuum channel. Make sure the whole length of the opened end is in the channel. Make sure that the bag lies smoothly across the sealing strip with no wrinkles. Close the lid. Turn the sealing time adjustment switch to the vacuum and seal position. Press down on the lid. That activates the pump, which begins to vacuum out the air. Wait a few seconds and then release. It'll continue to vacuum out the air automatically. Once all the air has been removed, the FoodSaver will seal the end of the bag. Now when the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the bag and the bag has been sealed. Open the lid, remove the bag, and you have a large vacuum-packed block of cheese. Now when you're ready to use some of the cheese, here's what you do. First, open the bag by using the built-in bag cutter. See this little indentation between the sealing strip and the vacuum channel? That's the cutter guide. So make sure that the seal on your bag is beyond that guide. See how I've got the seal beyond the guide? Close the lid and then swipe the cutting blade across the FoodSaver. Open the lid. Here's your open bag of cheese. And see how little of the bag that I've wasted? I cut the bag right below the seal. Remove the amount of cheese that you want to eat now, and then you can re-vacuum package the rest of the cheese in the same bag so it will be fresh for the next time you need it. What if you don't want to remove any of the air at all? You just want to seal a bag. Well, your FoodSaver can do that too. Of course, you won't be removing the air, so you won't get any of the benefits of vacuum storage, but there are times when sealing is all you need. In addition to sealing FoodSaver bags, you can also seal strong Mylar-type bags like this potato chip bag. For example, if you live in an area of high humidity, you could seal some leftover potato chips, prevent them from getting soggy before you eat them the next day. Here's what you do to seal a bag without removing the air. I'll demonstrate with this potato chip bag, but you would seal a FoodSaver bag exactly the same way. And essentially, I'll be doing the same thing I did when I made a custom-sized bag from the FoodSaver roll. Put the bag over the sealing strip. See, here's the sealing strip on the FoodSaver. So lay the edge of the bag right on the strip. Make sure you don't put the bag down into the vacuum channel. It won't seal. So lay the edge of the bag right here on the sealing strip. Close the lid and turn the sealing adjustment switch to seal only. Press down on the lid. The indicator light will come on. Continue pressing down until the light goes off. Open the lid, and here's your bag. It's well sealed, so your chips will stay fresh and crunchy until you're ready to eat them. Now be clear about this. You can seal a Mylar type bag with your FoodSaver, but you can't vacuum the air out of it. It's not strong enough for vacuum packaging. And you can only seal FoodSaver bags or Mylar type bags. Any other bags could melt or burn with the heat from the sealing strip. I'd like to share a couple of tips with you about FoodSaver bags and rolls. Once you've made a bag, it's always a good idea to check the seal. This is what a good seal looks like. It's smooth and even all the way across. If you ever notice that your seal looks like this, with a wrinkle in it, it means your bag wasn't lying smoothly over the sealing strip. This small wrinkle will eventually allow air to re-enter. If this happens, it's easy to fix. Just cut the bag below the seal and vacuum package it again. If you find it difficult to get the bag to lie smoothly over the sealing strip, you may not be leaving enough room between your food item and the end of the bag. Make sure there's at least 3 inches of space at the end of the bag. You should also make sure that the inside of your bag near the seal area is free from grease and water. When you're vacuum packaging something like this cheese, there might be some cheese here, and that's greasy. This grease and water will prevent the bag from sealing correctly. So it's a good idea to wipe the inside of the bag, just the few top inches, with a paper towel after you've inserted any moist or greasy items and before you start vacuum packaging. Here's another tip. If you're vacuum packaging meats or fish, fresh meat, fresh fish that have a lot of liquid in them, fold a paper towel and place it in between the food and where the seal will be. This will absorb the moisture and prevent liquids from being sucked into the vacuum pump. Now, here's a tip for soft fruits and berries that are easily crushable. Spread them out on a baking sheet. You can slice them first if you want, and then freeze them for 1 to 2 hours just until they're hard. Then vacuum package them and store them in the freezer. That way they won't get crushed in the bag, and they won't all clump together when frozen. So later on, you can open the FoodSaver bag, take out just the amount of fruit you need, maybe just enough for a fruit pie or fruit salad, and then you can re-vacuum package what's left in the bag for another day. And when you're vacuum packaging vegetables, they should always be blanched first in boiling water or in the microwave, and then stored in the freezer. You'll find instructions on blanching in the food preparation section of your user manual. You see, blanching is important whenever you're freezing fresh vegetables because it stops the enzyme action that causes the vegetables to lose their flavor, color, and texture. And if you want to vacuum package vegetables that are easily crushable, you can pre-freeze them the same way you do for soft fruits. But make sure you blanch them first before you freeze them on a baking sheet. That way you'll be able to store your vegetables in meal-sized portions that will be fresh tasting even when they're out of season. Now, here's the secret to vacuum packaging liquids. You can't vacuum package liquids in FoodSaver bags and rolls because the liquid could get sucked into the vacuum pump. But you can freeze the liquids first, like in this tray, then vacuum package them. You can freeze soups and stews in a plastic container or loaf pan so they freeze into a block. Then remove the frozen block from the container and vacuum package it in a FoodSaver bag. The next time you're too busy to cook, just drop the frozen block, bag and all, into a pot of boiling water to heat, and you'll have hot, fresh-tasting homemade soup or stew in no time. Now you can also freeze liquids in ice cube trays and then transfer the frozen cubes to a FoodSaver bag. Vacuum package the bag and store it in the freezer. Now this is a great way to make ice packs for your cooler, or you could even freeze homemade broths this way, so you'll always have some small amounts available for making soups, gravies, and sauces. And if you'll be vacuum packaging any items that have sharp edges that could puncture the FoodSaver bags, for example, like this silverware or flatware. Wrap the items in a cushioning material like a folded paper towel before vacuum packaging them. And lastly, here are two important points. When it comes time to thaw your frozen vacuum packaged foods like your meat, fish, poultry, it's important that you always thaw them in the refrigerator. And don't ever wash and reuse your FoodSaver bags if you previously used them to store raw meat, fish, or poultry, or if you use them to store greasy foods. And you shouldn't reuse a bag that has been boiled or microwaved. Now, it's time for some other great FoodSaver accessories. You should have received an accessory hose with your FoodSaver. This will allow you to use some of the great FoodSaver vacuum accessories. Here are some accessories that I'm sure you're going to love. The FoodSaver vacuum canisters. Now, these canisters come in three styles: designer canisters, bulk storage canisters, and the square canister. They're all specially designed to be strong enough for vacuum packaging. You'll probably use the FoodSaver bags mostly for foods you store in your freezer, but you'll find the FoodSaver vacuum canisters are really handy for storing foods in the refrigerator or pantry, or even your kitchen countertop. The canisters are perfect for those delicate items that could be crushed if they were vacuum packaged in a FoodSaver bag. You know, things like chips and crackers, or even strawberries. First, I'll show you how to use the FoodSaver designer canisters. These canisters are sold in sets. There's a 2-piece set, and there's also a 3-piece set. The designer canisters look attractive on your countertop, so you can use them to store baking supplies or dry goods, and they're great for storing delicate items like strawberries or lettuce in the refrigerator. I'll demonstrate how to use them by vacuum packaging these fresh strawberries. First, make sure you leave 1 inch of room between the contents and the top of the canister. Wipe the canister rim to remove any food residue. Wipe the rubber gasket underneath the canister lid to remove any residue. Put the lid on the canister. Insert one end of the accessory hose into the accessory port on the FoodSaver. Insert the other end of the hose into a hole on top of the canister. Make sure the sealing switch is turned to the vacuum and seal position. Press down on the lid, wait a few seconds, that activates the pump, and then release. When the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the canister. Remove the accessory hose from the canister. Now you can test that the lid is securely sealed. Just give it a slight tug. If it doesn't come off, it's vacuum packed. Remember to remove the accessory hose from the FoodSaver before you vacuum package in FoodSaver bags. If you try to vacuum package in bags while the accessory hose is still attached, you'll never be able to get a vacuum. Now, to open your FoodSaver designer canister, press and hold down the gray button in the center of the lid. Listen. That will release the vacuum and allow you to open the lid. That was the sound of freshness. Now, designer canisters can be stored in the refrigerator, in the pantry, or on your countertop. The bases can be washed in the dishwasher, but the top should always be hand washed. Don't immerse them in water, just wipe them with a damp cloth. The FoodSaver bulk storage canisters come in 3 sizes that are perfect for storing large quantities of food. There's a 2-quart size, a 4-quart size, and a 6-quart size. The bulk storage canisters are perfect for storing all those foods that are cheaper to buy in bulk, but that go stale quickly. You know, things like cereals and cookies, crackers, chips, pretzels. So they're great for people who live in areas with high humidity. Because of their size, you'll probably want to use the bulk storage canisters for dry goods that you store in your pantry. But they can also be used to store perishable items in the refrigerator. I'll show you how to use the bulk storage canisters by vacuum packaging these cookies. First, make sure that you leave at least 1 inch of room between the contents and the top of the canister. Wipe the canister rim, make sure there's no cookie crumbs on the edge, and also wipe the rubber gasket underneath the canister lid to remove any food residue. Put the lid on the canister. Now, turn the knob to vacuum. You see it's now pointed to open. You have open, vacuum, and closed. So turn the knob to the word vacuum. Insert one end of the accessory hose into the accessory port on your FoodSaver, and the other end of the hose into the hole on the top of the canister lid. Make sure the sealing switch is turned to the vacuum and seal position. Press down on the lid. That activates the pump. Wait just a few seconds and then release. The FoodSaver will continue to pump the air out of the canister. When all the air is pumped out, the motor will stop, and that's your signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the canister. Remove the accessory hose from the canister and turn the knob on the canister lid so that the arrow points to the word closed. Now you can test if the lid is securely sealed. Just give it a slight tug. If it doesn't come off, it's vacuum packed. Always remember to remove the accessory hose from the FoodSaver if you plan on vacuuming in FoodSaver bags next. Now, to open the FoodSaver bulk storage canister, turn the knob on the canister lid past the word vacuum to the word open and listen. This will release the vacuum and allow you to remove the lid. That was the sound of freshness. Now, it's really important that when you turn the canister knob, you turn along the paths of the arrows. Don't ever turn the knob from the word open to closed, because this will start to unscrew the knob. You're actually loosening it. And even a slightly loose knob will prevent you from being able to vacuum a canister. So if you ever have difficulty vacuuming a canister, always check that the knob is screwed on tightly. Now, bulk storage canisters can be stored in the pantry or in the refrigerator, but not in the freezer. The bases can be washed in the dishwasher, but the tops should always be hand washed. Don't immerse them in water. Just wipe with a damp cloth. The square canister is specially designed to be the right size for marinating. Although you can marinate in any FoodSaver canister, the square canister, because of its shape, requires less marinade. The great thing about this canister is that you don't have to remember to marinate everything the night before. The vacuum action allows the pores of the food, your meat, fish, or poultry, to open up, and that lets the marinade in. So instead of having to marinate overnight, you can marinate in 20 minutes. I'm going to demonstrate how to use the square canister by marinating these pork chops that are in a lemon pepper marinade. First, make sure you leave at least 1 inch of room between the contents and the top of the canister. Wipe the canister rim and make sure that there's no marinade on it. Also, wipe the rubber gasket that's underneath the canister lid to make sure that it's clean. Now just put the lid on the canister and turn the knob to the word vacuum. See the gray arrow? Turn it to the word vacuum because we're going to vacuum out the air. Now insert one end of the accessory hose into the accessory port on the FoodSaver and insert the other end into the hole on the top of the canister lid. Make sure the sealing switch is turned to the vacuum and seal position. Press down on the lid, wait a few seconds, and then release. Now the FoodSaver will automatically continue to pump the rest of the air out of the canister. When the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the canister. Remove the accessory hose from the canister and turn the knob on the canister lid so that the arrow points to the word closed. Always remember to remove the accessory hose from the FoodSaver if you plan on vacuuming in FoodSaver bags next. Then just put your square canister in the refrigerator for 20 minutes to marinate. And then to open the square canister, turn the knob past the word vacuum to the word open. Listen. That releases the vacuum and allows you to remove the lid. Now, transfer the food to your cookware for cooking. You see, the square canister isn't designed for cooking, so you can't use it to cook foods. But you can use the base of the square canister in the microwave for reheating foods. But don't put the lid in the microwave. Now, to clean up, the base can be washed in the dishwasher, but the top should always be hand washed. Don't immerse the top in water, just wipe it with a damp cloth. Here are some good tips for using any of the FoodSaver vacuum canisters. When you're vacuum packaging powdery foods, like flour or even coffee grounds, cut a piece of paper towel and place it on top of the food before vacuum packaging it. This will prevent the powder granules from being sucked into the vacuum hose. Now, you can even vacuum package foods like soups, stews, and homemade sauces in FoodSaver vacuum canisters and store them in the refrigerator, and they'll taste fresher longer. Just remember that you shouldn't vacuum the liquids when they're still hot because they could bubble over. Let them cool in the refrigerator first before vacuum packaging. And remember that whenever you're vacuum packaging FoodSaver canisters, always leave 1 inch of space at the top of the canister. Here's another great accessory, FoodSaver vacuum bottle stoppers. They allow you to vacuum package liquids in their original bottles, and they're great for things like expensive oils that go rancid very quickly, usually before you've even used half of the bottle. Or you can use them to vacuum package wine. Do you ever open a bottle of wine and then store the other half for later? Well, now you can vacuum pack it and you won't lose any of the taste or the wonderful bouquet. Let me show you how easy it is to use the FoodSaver bottle stopper. Make sure that the neck of the bottle is clean and free of any residue. Make sure the bottle stopper fits snugly into the bottle. If it's loose, air may get in. Insert one end of the accessory hose into the accessory port on the FoodSaver and the other end into the hole in the bottle stopper. Make sure the switch is turned to vacuum and seal. Press down on the lid, wait a few seconds, and then release. The FoodSaver continues to pump the air out of the bottle. When the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the bottle stopper. Remove the hose from the bottle stopper, and your bottle is now vacuum packed. When it's time to drink your wine, it's easy to remove the FoodSaver bottle stopper. Simply twist and pull to release the vacuum. Listen. That's vacuum packed. You won't want to use the vacuum bottle stoppers with carbonated or sparkling beverages like champagne because the FoodSaver will remove the gas. That's what gives them their fizz, and they'll become flat. And don't use FoodSaver bottle stoppers with plastic bottles. Plastic bottles aren't strong enough for vacuum packaging. To clean the FoodSaver vacuum bottle stoppers, just hand wash them. Here's a handy accessory that will let you vacuum package foods in their original containers, the FoodSaver universal lids. You'll use these to vacuum package foods like pasta sauce or chocolate sauce after you've opened the jar, used some of the contents, and you want to store the rest. Universal lids come in 2 sizes, a 5.5-inch diameter and a 4-inch diameter. Now, why are they called universal lids? Because they're designed to fit jars and cans with a variety of different size openings. You can use them on any strong glass jars, like these pasta jars, or even on some cans, like coffee cans. You see, they're strong enough to withstand the force of a vacuum. So how do they work? Well, the foods that are sold in jars and cans have had all of the air removed so they'll stay fresher longer. Just like these peanuts were vacuum packed by the manufacturer. But as soon as you open the original container, you let the air in. And now your food will start to deteriorate. So if you only use a small portion of what's in the jar or can, and then replace the original lid, you're actually locking in the air that's causing your food to go bad. So throw away that original lid and replace it with a FoodSaver universal lid. And now you can vacuum package what's in your original jar and preserve the fresh taste. Let me show you how to do that. I'll be using a 4-inch universal lid to vacuum package this jar of peanuts. Now first, make sure you leave at least 1 inch of room between the contents and the top of the jar. Wipe the jar rim. Make sure there's no peanut salt there. You want it to be clean. And then also wipe the gasket that's on the universal lid, so there's no food residue. Now put the universal lid on top of the jar. Turn the knob to the word vacuum. Do you see where the little gray arrow is pointed to the word vacuum? Because we're going to vacuum the air out of the jar. Insert one end of the accessory hose into the accessory port on your FoodSaver, and insert the other end into the hole on top of the universal lid. Make sure the sealing switch is turned to the vacuum and seal position. Press down on the lid, wait a few seconds, and then release. When the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the jar. Remove the accessory hose from the universal lid and turn the knob on the lid so that the arrow points to the word closed. Now, test that the universal lid is securely sealed. Just give it a slight tug. If it doesn't come off, it's vacuum packed. Remove the accessory hose from the FoodSaver if you plan on vacuuming in FoodSaver bags next. Now, if the food is perishable, like this pasta sauce, store the jar in the refrigerator. To open the FoodSaver universal lid, turn the knob from the word closed past the word vacuum to the word open. Now listen, the sound of freshness. The universal lids work best on containers with a diameter greater than 2 inches. Otherwise, the universal lid can easily be knocked off, even though it's been vacuum packed. So handle with care and don't ever lift the jar by grabbing the universal lid. And if you use the universal lids on a can and don't plan on using the food within a day or two, you know, something like a tomato paste, transfer the food to a FoodSaver vacuum canister. That way you'll prevent the off flavor that cans transfer to food. Universal lids are easy to clean. Just hand wash them with a mild dishwashing soap and warm water. But don't immerse them in water and dry thoroughly before reusing. Another accessory is the FoodSaver jar sealer. If you want to vacuum package in mason jars, you'll need to use a jar sealer. The FoodSaver jar sealers come in 2 sizes, regular and wide mouth. Mason jars are readily available at supermarkets and hardware stores, or you may already have mason jars in your home. They're perfect for pantry staples like rice, beans, flour, or brown sugar, or for your homemade gifts of candy or cookies. Now, mason jars have either a regular opening or a wide mouth opening. So if you have regular size mason jars, you'll need the regular size jar sealer. And if you have wide mouth mason jars, you'll need a wide mouth jar sealer. Let me show you how you can use a FoodSaver jar sealer to vacuum package in mason jars. I'm going to demonstrate with brown sugar because vacuum packaging is a wonderful way to keep brown sugar moist. I have a wide mouth mason jar, so I'll be using the wide mouth jar sealer. You'll need a mason jar and a flat metal mason jar lid. You can usually buy the lids wherever mason jars are sold. You won't need the screw band section of the mason jar lid when you're vacuum packaging. Before you start vacuum packaging, you need to soften the rubber underneath the metal lid. To do this, bring a pot of water to boil and then turn off the heat. Put the lids in the water and let them soak for 5 to 10 minutes. You'll find these instructions in your user manual. Also, make sure that the metal lid of the mason jar is flat, not warped or bent. You see how this lid is bent? It's warped. It's not perfectly flat. This won't work. You see this one? It has a kink in it right here. You see that? That won't work. So for best results, always use a new lid. Now, make sure there's no food material or crumbs sticking to the rubber underneath the mason jar lid. And make sure there's no food material or crumbs on the rim of the jar. Put the metal lid on the jar with the rubber side down. Press the jar sealer down firmly over the mason jar until it's all the way down. It should sit snugly over the jar and not be loose. You know, if it's really loose, you may not be using the correct size jar sealer for your mason jar. Insert one end of the accessory hose into the accessory port of the FoodSaver. Insert the other end of the hose into the jar sealer. Make sure the switch is turned to the vacuum and seal position. Press down on the lid, wait a few seconds, and then release. When the motor stops, that's the signal that the air has been vacuumed out of the jar. Your jar is now vacuum packed. Now be careful when you pull up on the jar sealer to remove it. Do it gently. Then test to see if the metal lid fits tightly on the jar. When you want to remove the mason jar lid, wedge a spoon between the lid and the mason jar and twist. If you do this gently, you'll be able to reuse the lid. Watch. Before reusing the lid, always check that it's still perfectly flat. If it's even slightly warped or bent, you won't be able to remove the air from the mason jar. Now, to avoid accidents, never use a knife to remove the mason jar lid. And don't use a bottle opener because it will bend the lid and you won't be able to reuse that lid again. To clean your FoodSaver jar sealers, just hand wash them using a mild dishwashing soap and warm water, and dry them thoroughly before reusing. Now listen, don't be confused. You can vacuum package in mason jars with your FoodSaver, but you cannot use a FoodSaver for canning. Vacuum packaging is not the same thing as canning. Although it removes the air, vacuum packaging doesn't heat foods. So perishable foods that have been vacuum packaged in a mason jar still need to be put in the refrigerator or freezer. And remember to always remove the accessory hose from your FoodSaver if you're going to vacuum pack in FoodSaver bags next. Well, by now I'm sure you can't wait to start vacuum packaging. Of course, there wasn't enough time in this video to show you all the FoodSaver vacuum packaging accessories, but in the box with your FoodSaver, you'll find a catalog that lists all the accessories available. And you can order any of the FoodSaver accessories by calling the toll-free number on your screen or visiting our website at www.foodsaver.com. And do take time to read the FoodSaver User Manual. It has a lot more information than I was able to share in this video. I hope you enjoy vacuum packaging with your FoodSaver.